Hello. So, long story short is people suck. And there's a loss in the deaf community because people suck. So there's been a loss in the deaf community. A man named Ryan Hawkins from Indiana, I believe, was shot in a road rage situation and he died. I don't believe I personally knew him. I don't recall ever speaking to him on social media or anything, but a couple of immediate deaf friends of mine have known him and have been talking about him on social media. Let's go over what happened, shall we? This happened a couple of days ago, so there's been some updates and stuff, so we're gonna take some pieces from a couple of news. Ryan Hawkins was killed Wednesday in a fatal road rage shooting. The 35-year-old was deaf and died after a possible honking incident led to him being shot. His family believes the incident led Ryan to try to speed away from the area. They say he was then shot before his car veered off of I-65. He was ejected from the car before it entered the pond. Officers also located bullet holes in the side of the car. Ryan was trying to speed off like he was trying to get away, his best friend Ben said. I'm so sorry if he's causing a racket back there. Indiana State Police announced 2 arrests connected to the shooting Friday morning. 24-year-old Andre Brisky of Indianapolis was arrested and charged with murder and possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. Shauna Rowland of Greenwood was arrested and charged with assisting a criminal in obstruction of justice. Ryan died at the scene from injuries consistent with a gunshot wound along with injuries from being ejected from the car. When deaf people meet deaf people, you click instantaneously because you have similar lives, but Ryan just connected with everyone. He was a beautiful soul, Drew Hawkins said about his brother. His sister, Paige Hawkins, echoed that same sentiment, saying her brother was a light in her life. Ryan attended the Indiana School for the Deaf, and he also went on to attend Gallaudet, which is the only liberal arts university for deaf and hard of hearing students internationally, and he was a 2013 graduate. There's also another article that came out today, a couple of hours ago, since they have arrested the people who were involved, and there's a little bit of news on that, which I read like a sentence of, and it had me confused. I did it. Driver allegedly admits fault in fatal road rage shooting on I-65 last week. A 24-year-old Indianapolis man faces a murder charge after he allegedly shot and killed a man driving on I-65 near Southport Road on May 1st. According to documents, the driver of a Ford Explorer admitted to police that he shot and killed 35-year-old Ryan Hawkins during a road rage incident. According to eyewitness accounts shared in court documents, Hawkins and the driver of the Explorer were northbound on I-65 when shots began to come from the Explorer. The 2024 Hyundai Elantra, driven by Hawkins, then left the interstate and crashed into a pond at a nearby apartment complex. According to court documents, Hawkins died by a gunshot wound to the neck. The 24-year-old man, who is yet to be formally charged, told police during questioning, "I'll tell you right here, I did it. I didn't mean to. I was afraid we were going to crash and die." The man claims Hawkins had been brake checking him. Listen, I am annoyed as the next person when somebody tries to brake check me, but I've driven in Los Angeles, Orlando, Charlotte, I-40 in Tennessee, which is the freaking worst, honestly, in my opinion, besides LA. And I live in Omaha, and people here, it's mostly the people from Texas, okay? But never during all of these moments when I have had road rage myself, just screaming, at these people and rolling my eyes and all of that, I have never thought, well, let me get a gun and shoot the person in front of me because I'm afraid I'm gonna die. Which, by the way, in fact, you're probably putting yourself even more at risk when you do that, because if you injure the person that's brake checking you or doing whatever the heck, you have no idea what's going to happen to their car, and they're in front of you, and you don't even know if you're going to be able to react in time. Not sure what the thought process was there. Also, is it really that serious? Other eyewitness accounts shared in court documents explain Hawkins sped away from the driver of the Explorer before the driver sped up next to Hawkins and began firing his gun. When told other eyewitness accounts were not in line with his explanation, the driver told police he wanted an attorney. So, is it true that he thought Ryan was brake checking him? I don't even know. That sounds very confusing. Now, but regardless, there was another article somewhere, I don't know where it is now, I found it on Facebook, it's being shared around, that someone had a theory, or somebody said that it was the fact that the suspect was honking his horn at Ryan at a light or something, and then the guy got mad. Driving is already scary because you are maneuvering a very heavy piece of machinery. You run the risk of crashing into something and hurting yourself, or worse, you run the risk of crashing into other people and hurting them, or worse. And as someone who's a woman, expressing road rage to someone is terrifying because I never know what's gonna happen. And now if you're a deaf person, man, woman, non-binary, doesn't matter. If you are a deaf person, you're driving and you risk pissing somebody off, you know, if they're honking or something, you're not always gonna know if that's happening. I would be able to know when I am driving with my hearing aids in, when I am not wearing them. Not necessarily, but I am a very good driver. Deaf people statistically are better drivers, so we're able to, you know, pay attention to our surroundings a little bit more. Is this relevant to the video? I'm not sure, but I'm sure somebody's going to comment it anyways about deaf people driving, so I may as well mention it. Regardless, Ryan's not at fault here, because even if you couldn't hear the honking, if there was honking involved, even if he was brake checking somebody, listen, admittedly, I've watched videos on TikTok of people being annoying and brake checking others, and thus they end up getting into a little car accident, and there's a little hee-hee moment that has come out of me when I've watched them. But the thought of getting so upset about somebody brake checking, if that's even what happened, even if that is what happened, there is no reason to shoot somebody, to speed up at them. And if Ryan has already been trying to drive away and get away from you, that should have been the end of it. Leave him alone. You didn't need to speed up after him, start shooting at his car, hit him, and now you killed somebody over what? He didn't even actually hurt you. He didn't do anything to you. If there was brake checking involved, yes, there was a risk of a little car accident, a fender bender, maybe more happening. And that sucks. Still don't need to be shooting anybody. So now the community has lost someone who is told to be a very great person, and he was friends to my friends, and they are very saddened about this, and it sucks. I don't think there's really much else that could be said on the matter, aside from, I'm sorry that happened to you, Ryan. My condolences and my feelings, my thoughts are, you know, with the family, with his siblings, his parents, his friends, and the community at large, you know. A sad day, it's a sad week for the community, even for those of us that, you know, didn't get the chance to meet him, because he seems like a pretty awesome guy to be able to meet and say hi to, you know. But it's not worth getting pissed off on the road. The roads are dangerous, cars are dangerous, people are dangerous, but it's just not worth getting pissed off if somebody's doing something on the road. You're putting more people at risk when you get ticked off about something. Just drive away. Pay attention. Make sure you don't get hit. Make sure you're not going to hit anybody else. And don't chase after them with weapons. I'm not sure if there's a GoFundMe around for Ryan's funeral and for any support for his family. If I find that, I'll put that down below in the description box, so you can take a look at that. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I very much appreciate it. And I'll see you later. Bye.